The first trailer for the Dark Phoenix movie is here, and the latest X-Men movie is going in a very different direction. Although we're half a year away from the film showing on cinemas, the first trailer featured quite a bit of the movie's story. Starring Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix follows the story of as a young girl who manifests mutant abilities. Charles Xavier, played by James McAvoy, takes her in to help her learn to control her budding powers. Sadly, years of work and worries were wasted as Jean Grey loses control. The film was supposed to hit theaters November this year. However, the trailer did reveal the new release date, which will be on Valentine's Day, February 14, 2019. Aside from Turner and McAvoy, Dark Phoenix also features the return of previous cast members such as Michael Fassbender, Ty Sheridan, Evan Peters, Alexandra Shipp, Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, and Cody Smith-McPhee. The trailer is hot like fever, and we are breaking it down to figure out as much details as we can. A young Jean Grey stands in front of Xavier's mansion. She is alone. She asks Xavier if he can fix her, and he replies that she is not broken. In the comics, Jean manifested her powers when she was around 8 years old after her friend was hit by a car and killed right in front of her. Jean sits inside Xavier's office. We can hear McAvoy say, "The mind is a fragile thing, even a slight tap can move it in the wrong direction." Will we get to see the moment that causes Jean to break in the movie? Did the Dark Phoenix powers in 2016's X-Men Apocalypse manifested that something unlocked when Jean went full force at the end of the movie? Hank McCoy, Nicholas Hoult, is running tests on Jean. He seems unhappy with the results. It seems like the film will show efforts that revolve around trying to fix Jean, who seems to get more broken. Earlier, we saw Jean get dropped off at the school alone. We get to see why in this scene. While riding in the car with her parents, Jean's powers manifested or were just uncontrollable, and she moved the car into oncoming traffic, collides with a truck. From the look of it, Jean was the only survivor as her powers protected her. An adult Jean Grey finds herself at a commune. There, she finds Magneto and asks for his help to look for answers. Now, Magneto in the comics and in the movies is a guy who wants to be left alone. Magneto in this scene is on Genosha, the island nation he eventually led in the comics that serve as home or refuge to mutants. Jessica Chastain shows up in a church. She's playing a character named Smith and tells Jean she doesn't belong here. Does this here mean in the church, on the X-Men, or maybe even on Earth? Lots of rumors surrounding her real identity. Some people think she's actually Mr. Sinister, an immortal geneticist who is pretty evil, while we think she's Lilandra, the Empress of the Shi'ar, and alien psychic connected to Xavier in the comics. Could she even be Mastermind, a telepathic mutant and member of the Hellfire Club known for manipulating Jean in the comics? This role is top secret, and all that is revealed now is that Smith only appears human. That's it. We get to see the X-Men members we've come to know and love in the past movie outings. Quicksilver, Evan Peters, seems to reside as a mentor in the Xavier School. Storm, Alexandra Shipp, stayed like she said in the last movie and became a full-fledged member of the X-Men. This is the first time we see a real change in Jean Grey. Orange starts to appear in her usually blue eyes. In this movie, it's hard to know if the Phoenix Force is an alien cosmic entity or just another side of Jean that's been buried for years. The X-Men team lineup for the latest movie. From left to right, we have Quicksilver, Nightcrawler, Beast, Professor X, Cyclops, Storm, and Mystique. This reveals that it gets to a point where Jean may be beyond help and the X-Men will have to try and stop her by with words or with mutant-powered persuasion. People will go after Jean. She gets the attention of some form of military forces. However, Jean stands and fights as she uses her telekinesis to down a helicopter. The X-Men's jets the Blackbird headed into space. A lot of the later parts of Dark Phoenix Saga comic story involves space travel, primarily confrontations with the Shi'ar Imperial Guards and Lilandra. We can only hope they add that to this movie. We notice a rift between McCoy and Xavier, with Beast saying, "This is your fault, Charles." The Blackbird flying in space is fleeing something like a huge fire explosion. This could hint the Phoenix Force getting unleashed. We can hear Magneto say "You're always sorry, Charles," and there's always a speech, but nobody cares. As we see him pick up his mind-shielding helmet and put it on. Magneto is not happy with the decisions Xavier made in the past or in the movie. Beast has parted ways from Charles and now teamed up with Magneto and 2 other mutants we can assume are from Genosha. These 2 are likely to be Selene and Red Lotus, mutants who later on joins the X-Men roster in the comics. "Don't do this," Xavier says to Beast, Magneto, and company as they face off for a mutant team battle. Nowhere to be seen are Mystique and Quicksilver. What happened to them? Please don't let this be the funeral for Quicksilver. Will he die again like in Age of Ultron? Both Xavier and Beast stand apart from the grave mound, rift still unrepaired. Jean goes full Phoenix towards at the end of the trailer. Unmistakable. She is definitely wearing an X-Men uniform, one that matches what we saw others wear in this trailer. Could be earlier on in the story. The moment the Dark Phoenix takes over Jean. Last thing we see is an orange-eyed Jean with veins on her face fiery lit. Will there be a good resolution in the film? Will the X-Men triumph once again in their last 20th Century Fox appearance? Will we see these characters rebooted to join the proper Marvel Cinematic Universe? All we have are more questions as the trailer ends and our waiting begins for the film's release next year. This has been Movie Fever Trailer Breakdowns. Thank you for watching.